My beloved brothers and sisters, in a world full of noise, everyone is speaking, but very few are listening. Everyone is showing, but very few are growing. Today, I want to remind myself and you of something powerful. Focus on yourself and learn the beauty of silence. You see, not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every opinion needs to be shared. And not every battle needs your reaction. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who remains silent. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not weakness. Silence is discipline. Silence is ibadah, an act of worship, when it protects you from sign. How many times have we spoken and then regretted it? And how many times have we stayed quiet and felt peace in our hearts? My dear brothers and sisters, when you focus too much on others, what they have, what they say, how they live, you lose focus on the one person you are responsible for, yourself. Allah will not ask you about their hayat, lives. He will ask you about your salah, your qalb, heart, your actions. So work on yourself. Fix your relationship with Allah in private. Cry to Him when no one sees you. Make dua when no one hears you. Improve yourself quietly, because real growth does not make noise. Remember this. The seed grows in darkness. Noise, remember this. The seed grows in darkness, not in the spotlight. So if your progress is unseen, don't worry. Allah sees it. People may misunderstand your silence. They may think you are weak or distant or proud, but you are not doing it for them. You are doing it for them. You are doing it because you understand that kalam, speech, can either raise you or destroy you. The tongue is small, but its impact is huge. Stay silent when you are angry. Stay silent when gossip is happening. Stay silent when your ego wants to prove a point. Because every time you choose silence over kalama, you are choosing strength over dot-fe. And while you are silent, work harder on your character. Be kinder, be more patient, be more sincere, and trust Allah. Because when you focus on nafsika yourself, Allah will take care of everything else. So walk your path quietly. Make your moves silently. Let your success, your character, and your iman speak for you. May Allah grant us the wisdom to speak when it is khair kud, and the strength to remain silent when it is better. Ameen. Guarding your intentions is one of the most powerful yet most overlooked acts of worship. It is something hidden, something quiet, something between you and Allah alone. People may see your actions, they may praise you, they may admire you, but they will never truly know why you are doing what you are doing. And that why is everything. Because in Islam, the value of an action is not just in what you do, but in the intention behind it. A person can pray, give charity, help others, speak kindly, and appear righteous in the eyes of the world. But if the intention is to be seen, to be praised, or to gain recognition, then that action begins to lose its weight. On the other hand, a small act done sincerely for the sake of Allah can become adhaim in His sight. A quiet dua, a hidden khair, a moment of patience when no one is watching. These are the actions that carry immense value because they are pure. The challenge we face today is that we live in a world that constantly pulls our intentions away from sincerity. Everything is visible. Everything is shared. People showcase their ibadat, their achievements, even their struggles. And slowly, without realizing it, the heart begins to seek validation from creation instead of the creator. You start doing things not just because they are right, but because they will be noticed. Not just because Allah loves them, but because people will appreciate them. This is where the mu'min must pause and reflect. Ask yourself honestly, why am I doing this? Before you speak, before you act, before you post, before you respond, check your intention. Is it to please Allah or is it to please Nasser? Because one leads to peace and the other leads to emptiness. Guarding your intention requires constant effort. It is not something you fix once and forget. It is a daily struggle. Even the ulama and the righteous before us used to fear their intentions more than their actions. They understood that the heart can change quickly. What begins as something sincere can slowly become something corrupted if it is not protected. One of the ways to guard your intention is to increase your private deeds. Do things that no one knows about. Pray when others are asleep. Give charity in a way that no one can trace it back to you. Make dua in the quiet moments of your life. Because when your relationship with Allah is built in secrecy, it becomes stronger and more sincere. Another way is to remind yourself constantly that people cannot benefit you or harm you except by the will of Allah. Their praise does not raise your status with Allah, and their criticism does not lower it. So why seek something from them that they do not truly control? When you internalize this, your heart begins to detach from seeking approval and it starts to focus only on Allah. Also be careful of the nafs and ego. It loves recognition. It loves to be seen as good, as righteous, as better than others. And sometimes it can trick you into thinking you are doing something for Allah, when in reality a part of you is doing it for yourself. This is why humility is so important. The more you humble yourself, the more you protect your intention. At the end of the day, sincerity is what will save us. On the day of judgment, it will not matter how people saw you. It will not matter how many followers you had, how much recognition you received, or how many people praised you. What will matter is what Allah knows about your heart. So protect your intention like you would protect your most valuable possession. Keep it clean, keep it sincere, and keep bringing it back to Allah. Because when your intention is right, even the smallest action becomes powerful. And when your intention is corrupted, even the greatest action can become empty. Silence is a gift that many people underestimate. In a world where everyone feels the need to speak, to respond, to react, and to be heard, choosing silence can feel uncomfortable. Yet in that discomfort lies strength. Not every situation requires your voice, and not every thought deserves to be expressed. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. The tongue is one of the greatest blessings Allah has given us, but it is also one of the greatest tests. With it, you can remember Allah, speak the truth, comfort someone, and spread al-khair. But with the same tongue, a person can hurt others, backbite, lie, and destroy relationships. This is why controlling what you say is not just good manners. It is a form of ibadah. Many regrets in life come from words spoken in haste, a moment of anger, a burst of emotion, a desire to prove a point, and suddenly words leave your mouth that you wish you could take back. But once they are out, they cannot be returned. Silence, on the other hand, protects you from these moments. When you choose to remain quiet, you give yourself time to think, to reflect, and to respond in a way that is pleasing to Allah. There is a difference between being silent out of weakness and being silent out of wisdom. Weakness is when you stay quiet because you are afraid. Wisdom is when you stay quiet because you understand the consequences of speaking. A wise person knows that not every argument is worth winning, and not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected immediately. Sometimes letting things pass is better for your peace and your akira. In gatherings, how often do we feel the urge to add something to the conversation even when it is not necessary? How often do we interrupt, exaggerate, or speak just to be noticed? These small habits may seem harmless, but they slowly shape the heart. The more you speak without purpose, the easier it becomes to fall into gossip, mockery, or kalama that brings no benefit. The Prophet ﷺ taught us a simple but powerful principle. Speak good or remain silent. This is not just advice, it is a mayayaro standard for how we should use our words. Before you speak, ask yourself, is it true? Is it beneficial? Is it kind? If the answer is no, then silence is better for you. Silence also protects your dignity. When you engage in every argument, respond to every criticism, and try to defend yourself at every turn, you exhaust yourself. But when you choose silence, you rise above unnecessary conflict. People may talk, they may assume, they may even judge, but your silence becomes your shield. It shows that you are not controlled by your emotions, nor are you desperate to prove yourself. At the same time, silence allows your heart to grow. When you speak less, you begin to listen more. You become more aware of your surroundings, more attentive to people, and more reflective about your own actions. It creates space for contemplation, for dhikr, for connection with Allah. A noisy life distracts the heart, but a quiet one nourishes it. This does not mean you should never speak. Islam does not teach us to be passive or silent in the face of injustice. There are times when speaking is necessary, when standing up for truth is an obligation. But even then, the words should be measured, sincere, and controlled. Silence is not about avoiding responsibility. It is about avoiding unnecessary harm. When you discipline in your tongue, you discipline your heart. And when your heart is disciplined, your entire character improves. You become more patient, more thoughtful, and more aware of Allah in your daily life. So learn the art of silence. Not as an escape, but as a strength. Not as a habit of withdrawal, but as a sign of control. Because sometimes what you don't say will protect you more than anything you ever could say. Avoiding comparison is one of the most freeing things a person can do for the heart. Yet it is also one of the most difficult struggles, especially in a world where you are constantly exposed to the lives of others. You see what they have achieved, how they look, how they live, and without even realizing it, your heart begins to measure itself against them. This quiet habit can slowly drain your peace, distort your self-worth, and make you ungrateful for what Allah has already given. The reality is that no two journeys are the same. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has created each person with a unique path, a unique test, and a unique provision. What someone else has is not a sign that you are lacking. It is simply a sign that their test is different from yours. When you compare your life to someone else's, you are ignoring the fact that you have not been given their story, their struggles, or their responsibilities. Comparison often begins with what is visible, but what is hidden is far greater. You may look at someone's success and feel behind, but you do not see the sacrifices they made, the hardships they endured, or the private battles they are fighting. You may admire someone's wealth, but you do not know the accountability that comes with it. You may envy someone's happiness, but you do not see the moments of sadness they keep to themselves. This is why comparison is not only unfair, it is incomplete. One of the greatest dangers of comparison is that it shifts your focus away from gratitude. Instead of appreciating your blessings, you begin to overlook them. The things you once made dawah for become things you no longer value because you are too busy looking at what others have. This is a dangerous place for the heart because gratitude is directly connected to contentment. The more grateful you are, the more at peace you feel, and the more you compare, the more restless you become. Islam teaches us to look at those who have less than us in matters of dunya so that we can remain grateful, and to look at those who are better than us in matters of deen so that we can improve. But even in this, the intention is not to compare in a way that leads to jealousy or despair. It is to inspire growth while maintaining humility and gratitude. When you constantly compare yourself to others, you begin to lose sight of your own progress. You forget how far you have come, how much you have grown, and how many obstacles Allah has helped you overcome. Your journey becomes overshadowed by someone else's highlight, and you start to feel like you are not enough. But the truth is, you are exactly where Allah has placed you, and there is wisdom in that placement. Another harm of comparison is that it can lead to hasad, envy, which is a disease of the heart. It eats away at your peace and can even affect your relationship with Allah. When you feel upset at someone else's blessings, you are indirectly questioning Allah's distribution. But when you understand that Allah gives according to His knowledge and wisdom, your heart begins to settle. You realize that what is meant for you will reach you, and what is not meant for you will never be yours, no matter how much you desire it. Focusing on yourself allows you to grow in a healthy and sincere way. Instead of competing with others, you compete with your past self. You aim to be better than who you were yesterday, not better than someone else today. This mindset brings peace because it is rooted in personal growth, not external validation. It also helps to limit what feeds your comparison. Constant exposure to curated lives, especially on social media, can distort your perception of reality. Taking a step back, being mindful of what you consume and reminding yourself that people only show a fraction of their lives can protect your heart from unnecessary dissatisfaction. When you let go of comparison, you begin to appreciate your own journey. You start to notice your blessings, your strengths, and your far's opportunities. You move with purpose, not pressure. And most importantly, you begin to trust Allah more deeply, knowing that His plan for you is perfectly tailored. So walk your path with confidence, not because you have everything, but because you trust the one who gave you what you have. Your journey is yours, your timing is yours, and your razak is yours. And when you truly understand that, comparison loses its power and contentment takes its place. Self-accountability is a quality that transforms a alien from someone who reacts to life into someone who grows through it. It is the ability to pause, to reflect, and to ask yourself difficult questions before pointing fingers at others. In a world where it is easy to blame NASA, circumstances, or even fate, turning inward and holding yourself responsible is a sign of sincerity and strength. Every day we witness situations where mistakes happen, conflicts arise, and misunderstandings occur. The natural reaction for many is to defend themselves immediately, to justify their actions, and to highlight the faults of others. But a believer is different. A believer begins with himself. Before asking, who is wrong? He asks, what could I have done better? This shift in perspective is powerful because it opens the door to growth instead of ego. Self-accountability or muhasabah is not about being overly harsh on yourself or living in guilt. It is about being honest. It is about recognizing that you are not perfect, that you will make mistakes, and that every mistake is an opportunity to improve. When you adopt this mindset, your failures no longer break you, they build you. The righteous people of the past used to hold themselves accountable in ways that may seem intense to us today. They would reflect on their day, their words, their intentions, and even their thoughts. Not because they doubted Allah's mercy, but because they valued their relationship with Him. They understood that small actions repeated over time shape the heart, so they paid attention to the details of their lives. When you practice self-accountability, you begin to notice patterns within yourself. You recognize the moments when your ego takes over, when your patience weakens, when your tongue slips, or when your intentions are not as pure as they should be. This awareness is the first step toward change. Because you cannot fix what you refuse to acknowledge, one of the greatest benefits of self-accountability is that it softens your heart toward others. When you are aware of your own flaws, you become less judgmental. You realize that just as you struggle, others struggle too. This creates empathy, compassion, and the willingness to forgive. Instead of constantly criticizing others, you focus on islah, reforming yourself. It also protects you from arrogance. When a person does not reflect on himself, he begins to think he is always right. He becomes blind to his own faults and quick to point out the faults of others. This is dangerous because arrogance distances a person from Allah. But when you regularly hold yourself accountable, you remain humble. You understand that no matter how much good you do, there is always room for improvement. Another important aspect of self-accountability is consistency. It is not something you do once in a while, it is a daily practice. At the end of your day, take a few moments to reflect. What did you do well? Where did you fall short? Did your actions align with your intentions? Did you hurt someone with your words? Did you remember Allah in your moments of ease and difficulty? These simple questions can have a deep impact on your spiritual growth. Along with reflection comes action. Self-accountability is not just about recognizing mistakes, it is about correcting them. If you realize you have wronged someone, make amends. If you notice a bad habit, work on changing it. If you see a weakness in your abadan, strive to improve it. Growth requires effort, and effort begins with honesty. It is also important to balance accountability with hope. Shaitan may try to make you feel overwhelmed by your shortcomings, making you think that you will never improve. But this is not the goal. The goal is progress, not perfection. Allah does not expect you to be flawless. He expects you to try, to turn back to Him, and to keep moving forward. When you hold yourself accountable, you take control of your own development. You stop waiting for others to change, and you start working on yourself. This brings a sense of purpose and clarity to your life. You are no longer distracted by what others are doing because you are fully engaged in your own journey. In the end, self-accountability prepares you for the ultimate accountability. A day will come when you will stand before Allah and nothing will be hidden. Every action, every word, every intention will be laid bare. If you have made a habit of holding yourself accountable in this life, that day will be easier for you. So turn inward before you look outward. Fix yourself before you try to fix others. Because when you improve yourself sincerely, you not only change your own life, you become a source of goodness for those around you. Patience and consistency are from the greatest qualities a believer can develop, yet they are also among the most difficult to maintain. We live in a time where everything is fast, results are expected immediately, progress is measured quickly, and delays feel like failures. But the tariq path of real growth does not work like that. It is slow, steady, and often unseen. And that's why patience and consistency are so powerful. They keep you going when nothing seems to be happening. Patience or sabr is not simply about waiting. It is about how you behave while you are waiting. It is about maintaining your iman when things are not going your way, controlling your reactions when you are tested, and continuing to do what is right even when it feels difficult. Anyone can stay motivated when things are easy, but true strength is shown when you remain committed during hardship. Consistency, on the other hand, is about showing up again and again, even when you do not feel like it. It is about doing small acts regularly rather than large acts occasionally. In our minds, we often think that big changes come from big actions, but in reality, lasting change comes from small efforts that are repeated over time. A few minutes of sincere dua every day, a little improvement in your character, a small khatwata, step toward becoming better. These things may seem insignificant, but they build something of them over time. The combination of patience and consistency creates a powerful mindset. You stop chasing quick results and start valuing steady progress. You understand that growth takes time and you become comfortable with that. This removes a lot of frustration from your life because you are no longer measuring your success by immediate outcomes, but by your commitment to the process. One of the biggest challenges people face is losing motivation when they do not see results. You start something with enthusiasm, a new habit, a new goal, a new intention. But when the results are slow, that enthusiasm begins to fade. This is where patience is tested. You have to remind yourself that not everything valuable shows results instantly. Just like a seed takes time to grow into a tree, your efforts need time to develop into something meaningful. Consistency helps you push through these moments. Even when you do not feel motivated, you continue. Even when you feel tired, you continue. Even when you doubt yourself, you continue. Because you understand that stopping and starting repeatedly will not take you far, but steady effort will. There is also a deep connection between patience, consistency, and sincerity. When you do something consistently, especially when no one is watching, it reflects a level of sincerity in your heart. You are not doing it for attention or recognition. You are doing it because you believe it is right. And when patience is added to that, it shows that you trust Allah's timing, even when you do not understand. Another important aspect is that patience protects you from making rushed decisions. When you are impatient, you may take shortcuts, compromise your values, or give up too soon. But when you are patient, you think more clearly, act more wisely, and stay aligned with your principles. You realize that what is written for you will come to you at the right time. And there is no need to rush in a way that harms you. It is also important to recognize that setbacks are part of the journey. You will have days where you fall short, where you lose focus, where you feel like you are not progressing. This does not mean you have failed. It simply means you are human. Patience teaches you to accept these moments without giving up, and consistency helps you return to your path without delay. When you develop these qualities, your relationship with Allah becomes stronger. You continue your ibadah in all situations, not just when you feel inspired, but even when you feel low. You remain grateful in ease and patient in hardship, and this balance brings a deep sense of stability to your life. In the end, patience and consistency shape your character. They teach you discipline, resilience, and trust. They remind you that success is not about how fast you reach your goal, but about how firmly you walk your path. And when you keep moving forward, no matter how small your steps may seem, you will eventually reach places you once thought were impossible. Trusting Allah's plan is one of the most comforting yet most challenging aspects of faith. It requires you to believe with certainty that everything happening in your life, whether you understand it or not, is part of a greater wisdom. It means accepting that Allah sees what you cannot see, knows what you do not know, and plans with a perfection that your mind cannot fully comprehend. As human beings, we naturally want control. We want things to happen the way we expect at the time we desire and in the manner we prefer. When life unfolds differently, it can create confusion, frustration, and even sadness. You make plans, you set goals, you hope for certain outcomes, and then those expectations are not met. It can feel like things are falling apart. But this is where true tawakkul begins, when you learn to trust not your plan, but Allah's plan. Tawakkul is not about sitting back and doing nothing. It is not about abandoning effort or responsibility. Rather, it is about doing your best while knowing that the result is in Allah's hands. You tie your camel, as the famous teaching goes, but your heart relies on Allah. You work, you strive, you make dawah, but at the same time, you surrender the outcome with full trust that whatever Allah chooses is best for you. One of the reasons trusting Allah can be difficult is because we judge situations based on what we can immediately see. If something feels good, we assume it is khair. If something hurts, we assume it is bad. But the reality is often the opposite. There are things you wanted that, if they had happened, would have harmed you. And there are things you disliked that turned out to be the very sebable means of your growth and success. Think about moments in your life when something did not go your way, a missed opportunity, a closed door, a delay you did not expect. At the time, it may have felt disappointing, even painful. But later, you may have realized that it protected you from something worse or guided you towards something better. This is a glimpse of Allah's wisdom, a reminder that His plan is always unfolding, even when you cannot see it clearly. Trusting Allah also brings peace to the heart. When you truly believe that everything is under His control, you begin to let go of unnecessary worry. You stop overthinking every detail and start focusing on what you can actually control, your actions, your intentions, your effort. The rest you leave to Allah. This does not mean you will never feel anxious or uncertain, but it means you have something to hold on to in those moments. A deep belief that you are not alone and that your affairs are in the best hands. Another important part of tawakkul is patience during uncertainty. Sometimes the hardest part is not the outcome, but the waiting. You do not know what will happen. You do not see clear answers and you feel stuck between hope and fear. In these moments, trust becomes a source of strength. You remind yourself that just be, because you do not see a way forward, does not mean there is no way. Allah is already arranging things behind the scenes in ways you cannot imagine. Trusting Allah also requires humility. It means accepting that your knowledge is limited and that you do not always know what is best for you. This can be difficult, especially when you feel strongly about something. But when you humble yourself before Allah's wisdom, your heart becomes lighter. You stop resisting what you cannot change and start embracing what Allah has written for you. It is also important to continue making dua. Trusting Allah does not mean you stop asking. It means you ask with full hope and leave the response to Him. Sometimes the answer to your dua is yes. Sometimes it is not now. And sometimes it is, I have something better for you. And all three are forms of mercy. When you truly trust Allah's plan, you begin to see life differently. You no longer view challenges as mujinnarid, mere obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. You no longer see delays as denials, but as part of divine timing. And you no longer measure success only by what you achieve, but by how close you are to Allah through every experience. In the end, tawakkul is a journey of the heart. It grows with time, with reflection, and with experience. The more you trust Allah, the more you see His wisdom in your life. And the more you see His wisdom, the easier it becomes to trust Him again and again. In the end, my dear brothers and sisters, all of this comes back to one simple but powerful reality. Your life becomes easier, clearer, and more meaningful when you stop focusing on others and start focusing on yourself for the sake of Allah. Guard your intentions because that is where everything begins. Stay mindful of your words because silence can protect you in ways speech cannot. Let go of comparison because your journey was never meant to look like anyone else's. Hold yourself accountable because real change starts from within. Be patient and consistent because the greatest results take time. And above all, trust Allah's plan because He knows what you do not. When you bring all of this together, something beautiful happens. You begin to live with purpose, not pressure. You move with sincerity, not the need for approval. You find peace not in nasib, but in your connection with Allah. So walk your path quietly. You do not need to announce your khatwat steps to the world. You do not need to explain yourself to everyone. Let your efforts be between you and Allah and let your growth speak for itself. Because at the end of the day, it is not about who noticed you. It is about whether Allah accepted you. May Allah purify our intentions, protect our tongues, grant us contentment, strengthen our patience, and fill our hearts with complete trust in Him. Ameen. Thank you, everyone.